So picture this. You're getting married. It's your wedding day. You're pregnant with somebody's child. And it's the happiest day of your life until some uninvited guests show up. And as it turns out, they're your former coworkers, who also happen to be a deadly group of assassins known as the Viper Squad. They kill all of your guests. They leave you for dead. You wake up 10 years later in a hospital room. Your baby is gone. You're pissed off. And you set off on a journey of blood soaked vengeance to go after the Viper Squad and their leader, Bill. Hence the title, Kill Bill. Me and a whole bunch of millennial teens back in the day, we all worshipped this fucking movie. All my classmates back in high school, we all worshipped this movie. We loved this movie. We were quoting this fucking movie all the time because Kill Bill is more than just a kick ass revenge story with visceral violence and highly stylized action sequences and awesome dialogue. It's also fucking poetry. It is poetry, okay? In its own over the top, stylized way, Kill Bill is fucking poetry. It's my favorite Tarantino movie, okay? Which is probably not something you're going to hear from most movie nerds. Most people would say, it's Jackie Brown, it's Pulp Fiction. Those are great movies, don't get me wrong. They're good. I just saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood recently. That was Tarantino's last movie. It was good, don't get me wrong. But Kill Bill is my favorite. Kill Bill is my favorite. I love it because to me, Tarantino is at his best when he makes the most outlandish shit. And I can't think of anything he's done that is more outlandish, more over the top than Kill Bill. Yeah, I think back to to high school. Like that's what this movie takes me back to. It came out in 2003, Volume 1, Volume 2, 2003, 2004, whatever. Early 2000s. And it's a very nostalgic time for me, because this movie felt like a culmination. It felt like a culmination of all of the coolest shit I was into up to that point, and still love today probably more than ever now. But at that time, very young, very impressionable, still soaking in all these things that would make me who I am today, all these interests, all of these, and obviously, Tarantino himself is a movie nerd. He is a pop culture uh, aficionado of the highest caliber who loves to take all of his favorite ingredients from other films, from 60s, 70s, whatever, and just throw them into a blender. Old martial arts films, samurai movies, spaghetti westerns, whatever it is that he loves, put it in a blender, and it comes out something all his own, all his own. And Kill Bill is that. It is just a fucking cool cocktail of everything I thought was awesome in my high school days. Like, everything was just like popping off in a big way that this movie celebrates. Martial arts films were getting big with stuff like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Anime was popping off big time in the early 2000s. And there's a whole fucking scene in this movie in Volume 1 that is literally just an awesome anime short film by famed anime studio Production IG. Like, as if the movie itself didn't already feel like a live action fucking anime long before Hollywood was even attempting those. Um, Kill Bill already kind of felt like one of those. Like, it just had that energy to it, that pulpy, stylized energy. When Beatrix Kiddo, aka the Bride, our main blonde, vengeful bombshell, is cutting people apart with her fucking Japanese sword. Like, they don't just bleed, they fucking spray blood everywhere like it's a fucking, like it's an anime or something. Um, every time she spots one of the Viper Squad assassins that she's hunting down, a fucking siren will blare and the screen will start flashing, and I'm sure it's a callback to something, but I don't care. At the time, in my teens, 14-year-old me, seeing that for the first time, I was like, holy shit, I've never seen a live action movie just this fucking cool before. Yeah, like that feels so alive in ways that live action films don't usually feel. It wasn't afraid to be like as the to have that over the top energy that usually you only see in graphic novels or comic books or anime, you know, Kill Bill just was overflowing with that energy, and there's so many like just fucking awesome moments in this movie. You know, the first time she gets her sword from Hattori Hanzo, the swordsmith guy, this legendary swordsmith, and he's like, if you should encounter God on your journey, God will be cut. This is the finest weapon I've ever made. Like, shit like that is just so fucking cool, man, because it gives you chills. Like, oh, there's so many cool moments in this movie that elevate it from being just a typical revenge film. You know what I mean? And again, young me, teenage me at the time, I think it resonated so strongly. And it's because all this stuff was popping off in popular culture. You know what I mean? And it's still what I love today. And it's why I could go back and watch this movie now and still love it more than ever because, yeah, like all the ingredients, all the things that make Kill Bill what it is made me who I am. You know? So it's like, it's it's a very important movie to me in that sense. Like I said, like back in high school, I just remember me and classmates just quoting this movie all the time. Like when she's at the tea house restaurant and going through all those crazy Yakuza dudes and cutting them down left and right, and she comes to this one kid who's just this inexperienced kid that just happens to be fighting with them, and he has this dinky little sword that she easily just cuts down with her badass Hattori Hanzo blade, and she spares him because he's a kid. But then she puts him over her knee and starts slapping him on the ass. This is what you get for messing with Yakuza. Go home to your mother. We were quoting that shit all the time, me and my classmates, dude, because that shit is so fucking funny, but it's also clever. And there's so many moments like that in Kill Bill, you know? The action is awesome, of course. That whole scene is fucking awesome. But some of the best moments in Kill Bill, it's not even just the fights, it's the fucking dialogue because it still has that Tarantino dialogue. He's such a great fucking writer. And spoilers. If you haven't seen the movies, go fucking watch them. I'm getting into spoilers here. When we get to volume 2, it's more payoff than action, really, by the time you get to volume 2. And it's like she's still going after the Viper Squad. She's going after the members one at a time, trying to take them out. And the movie just keeps subverting your expectations of like how it's going to go down between her and the rest of these assassins. And when she finally gets to Bill, it's not this climactic duel like another climactic sword fight like when she fights Oren, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but when she gets to Bill, it's just a really tense conversation. It's just a tense conversation between the two, with all the history they have and everything the movie is building up to. It couldn't just be a cliche final battle. No, this is Tarantino. He's just too good of a writer for that. He's too good of a director for that. So the final confrontation of the movie, this big final confrontation against the leader of the Viper Squad and her former boss, is just this tense conversation that goes on and on and on. The dialogue is great and it's excellent and it's so fucking good. And we finally get to the real battle, and it's literally just seconds. It's just seconds. They're sitting at a table. They don't even stand up to fight. They're having this conversation. They're having this long, intense conversation. Bill finally pulls out his sword, and he doesn't even have time to go into a full battle because she does the exploding heart technique on him at the last minute. It's like, it's so freaking good. It's like all of this build up and the actual battle is just like that. And it's great stuff. It's probably the best part of the whole 2 movie saga. Like, as far as drama and dialogue is concerned, it's so tense and it's so awesome. It's such a fitting finale. And because Kill Bill, it does again have like a dark comedic element as well. Like it can sometimes be kind of funny as well because it's making fun of this stuff just as much as it is celebrating it when it comes to all these like martial arts movies and samurai movies and stuff that it's kind of homaging. Like the Bill even humors her at one point before they finally, engage in battle, where he's like, "How are we gonna do this? Are we gonna, you know, we gonna have a sword fight with sunset in the background, or how do you want to do it? You know, but it's like it's almost like the movie is just making fun of the genre itself and what we, the audience, expect. We expect a big sword fight, a big dramatic sword fight, but we don't get it. You know, because now Bill tries to kill her right there at the table, right there at the table while they're conversing, and it's over and done really quickly. You know, and it's just a great subversion. It's almost like a punchline. You know, it's kind of funny and perfectly fitting at the same time. And there's a lot of that in Kill Bill. There's a lot of great stuff like that. It's kind of funny that some people write this movie off out of all Tarantino's movies as being like all style and no substance compared to his other movies, and I just don't agree. Because yeah, the action is great. Lots of great action sequences and fights and all that. Some of the best ever in these kinds of movies. But the thing is, as we get closer to the finale, especially through most of Volume 2, the action subsides and becomes more and more minimal, and it becomes more about the dialogue of the characters. So, like, again, kind of subverts your expectations there, you know, where, like, Volume 1 is mostly badass, awesome action, and we think it's going to be like that through the whole thing, and it's like she doesn't even get to like personally battle every Viper Squad member. You know, the first one she takes out that has the kid in the beginning, where she gets her in her home, Vernetta Green or whatever. That's over and done really quickly and has some really like fucked up dialogue where she's talking to her daughter and is like, if you ever want to come back at me someday when you're older, I'll understand, you know? Like, I'm sure this pissed you off. I killed your mom. It's like, fucked up, bro. Fucked up. But like at the same time, yeah, there aren't even that many fights with the Viper Squad members. And I could see some people looking at that and being like, well, yeah, shouldn't she have had dramatic battles with each and every one of them? And it's like, no, because that would have been predictable. It would have been cliche. It would have made the whole thing just a typical revenge story. And that's why Kill Bill is better. Because, yeah, she doesn't even get to fight every Viper Squad member in a big dramatic fight. Bill's brother, Bud, the guy who buries her alive in that one scene, like, she doesn't get to fight him because he gets double crossed by another Viper Squad member. Eye Patch Chick, I should remember her name, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, seriously, if you haven't seen Kill Bill, you should just go see it. This movie fucking rules. I'm glad that it's getting back in the zeitgeist again. It's back in theaters, which is awesome. There was also that crazy Fortnite promotion short film that was directed by Tarantino himself. It actually stars Uma Thurman. And I mean, I don't give a fuck about Fortnite, but I do think it's a cool little short film. And as crazy and weird as that is, it is kind of awesome because it's the closest thing we've had to like a new Kill Bill movie in some form. I mean, sure, it's not like production wise maybe on that level, but it's still pretty freaking cool that like, okay, at least a whole bunch of Gen Z kids might actually go see this movie now. You know what I mean? Because it's been around for a while, and maybe some of you haven't. And a lot of them may be like around their teens now or early 20s or whatever. And should definitely go see this fucking movie because, like I said, man, back in high school, I worshipped this movie. I knew a lot of kids who worshipped this movie. I still love it to this day. I think it holds up beautifully because it feels like a movie of my generation. It feels like, as much as it still holds up and is still awesome, it hasn't aged in any way. Um, the time that it was released definitely had like special significance. I feel, you know, it just came out at the right time and did the right shit to be immortalized and iconic and classic. And yeah, go watch Kill Bill. It's really good. It's really, really good. Great soundtrack too. Every time I hear that pan flute melody, The Lonely Shepherd, I cannot for the life of me remember how to fucking pronounce the musician's name. Starts with a G. But The Lonely Shepherd. Every time I hear that pan flute song, I'm like, oh man, this could play over anything. This could play over any like situation, and it would be a nice, calming song. But every time I hear it, I think of Kill Bill. Yeah, because it's so soulful, and at its heart, at its core, even though it's this violent, kick-ass revenge story, it does end with this vengeful woman crying on the floor of her bathroom. You know what I mean? There is soul, there is depth to this movie. You know, as fucked up as Bill and his Viper Squad assassination people were to do what they did to this woman, it's like they had a fucking relationship. She kind of loved this man, even though he did what he did, and she had every right to want him dead afterwards. There's like soul behind it, you know what I mean? That's that Tarantino touch. And yeah, favorite Tarantino movie. What do you guys think? Have you ever seen Kill Bill? Do you also think it's a fucking classic? Do you have another favorite Tarantino movie that you would put above it? I don't know, but let me know in the comments what you think. And until next time, you get to burning and live for the passion.